Hello and welcome to the Collapse Experiment. If you enjoy this video, please like and subscribe. Is it just me? Is it just me? Or did we somehow prevent the end of the world? It is the beginning of February. The election has come and gone. We now have somebody else in office. And this isn't even a political rant. Oh no. Things I have heard nothing about in the news for quite a while now. Ukraine, Gaza, although somebody talked about buying Gaza. I don't know, is that a thing? The Gaza Strip. Sounds like a new fashionable way of trimming some bushes, if you know what I mean. She's going with the Gaza Strip. Yeah, so we don't hear about Ukraine. We don't hear about Gaza. The bird flu disappeared. That's weird. Black lives don't seem to matter anymore. That's out the window. I'm really surprised that when it comes to this alleged rapper who's now suing, I think it's Lyft, for not being able to lift her fat ass up. I'm really surprised that the left isn't just passing her a bottle of Ozempic right now. Because they're all taking it. The whole body positivity movement has disappeared ever since this miracle drug came out. So did we somehow prevent the end of the world? Putin's no longer on the radar. Haven't heard anything from Rocket Man lately. It's like North Korea just kind of disappeared. They're like, yeah, we'll come back and play later. No, the only thing I've heard about is Canada and Mexico. Those two. That's all I've been hearing about. And you know, it's kind of nice. I'm actually hearing about our neighbors. Although I've had shitty neighbors before. Canada's the neighbor you, I don't know. You get, it's like being surrounded by a crack house on one side and then the house with all the rainbow flags and BLM stickers. And they're running like some type of local campaign out of the living room. That's what Canada is. But no, there's definitely been a different feeling. The news is completely different. Twitter has become an absolute shit show of just leftists bitching and moaning. Like I'll scroll down and it's like, oh my God, I'm never gonna forgive you guys for doing this to us. Doing what to whom? You know how you voted. I'm sorry, I didn't know how personally you were going to take that. Actually, I kind of had an idea, which is why I did it. I think Michael Moore summed it up perfectly the first time around when he said that voting for Orange Man bad was definitely going to be a middle finger to everything that has been done to the middle class. To everyone who did it as well. Like all the stupid stuff that has been implemented over the years that isn't government policy. It's not, this is our job, this is what we have to do. You're not protecting the American people. You're being an asshole. And we've had people in office that have been nothing but assholes for the last, I mean, it goes back further, but come on. The first election I actually voted in was 2000. The majority of stuff that Bush did had nothing to do with national security, had nothing to do with keeping the American people safe. Talk to me all you want about the war on terror, as he said it. We're fighting a war on terror. We gotta get them over there so they don't get us over here. It really sucks as to that's how things played out, because if it had just been a few months earlier, it would have been on Clinton's watch. And you know, it was Daddy Bush that, for one, pissed off bin Laden. It was Clinton who implemented a lot of the policies in the Middle East during the 90s that pissed off Al-Qaeda even more. And then there's this new guy that comes in. And I don't know why they waited until after Clinton was out of office. And Clinton was definitely the one who could have stopped it, considering they had the 20th hijackers laptop with the plans on it. And yet Clinton was like, yeah, I'm not going to sign off on you searching that hard drive because I got my own hard drive that's being serviced right now. Yeah, he wanted to protect the civil rights of people who plan to kill thousands of Americans. Back when people actually still had civil rights. Not you or me, no. It was foreigners and people who hung around with certain freedom fighters in training camps overseas for shits and giggles and learn how to fly planes, but ignore that they have to be landed. No, this was another election of middle fingers being given directly where they should have been given. There's a recent interview on the Sean Ryan podcast with a woman, I believe her name's Lindsay Lee. Used to work for the Democratic Party. Fundraising, she worked for campaigns, she worked for administrations. I believe now she goes by political commentator, and she's also become a Republican. For those of you that are curious, I am what you call an independent voter. I acknowledge that both parties are shitty in their own way. I totally acknowledge that. As fiscally responsible as the Republicans like to say that they are, I've yet to see one that actually balances a fucking checkbook. They're really good at making their own money. They're horrible at spending everybody else's. We believe in fiscal responsibility. Haven't seen it. Have not seen it. Is that changing now? Maybe. I know there's a lot of uproar about this U.S. aid stuff that's happening. People very pissed off that their free checks of U.S. taxpayer money are now suddenly drying up because our money should not be spent that way. At least it's being acknowledged. However, I don't want to just see that. I don't want to just see curtailing of spending because it goes to a certain party. I want to see all frivolous spending to be halted, suspended, and flushed down the damn toilet. I want a Jesse Ventura type presidency where when he became governor, he had this nice pork stamp And anything he believed wasn't the state's responsibility to pay for this or that or the other thing, he'd just put a big rubber stamp on it with a pig image that said veto. And you know what ended up happening? By the end of the year, people were getting refund checks from the state. He cut the state budget by so much. They said, hey, we overtaxed you. Here's your money back. I want to see this exact same thing, and I know it's not going to happen anytime soon. Probably not in my lifetime. And no, what is happening right now will not continue on because some dipshit / asshole will end up in office that's going to end up spending a shit ton of money on stuff we don't need to impress people we don't like just because other people can get rich from it. That'll continue to happen. However, I have a dream that one day my children will receive a check from the government that says, here's a refund on the money we should never have taken from you because we are irresponsible and pieces of shit. Will it ever happen? Well, it happened in Minnesota. We have an example. It is possible. This could happen. Is it likely? No. I once heard a man say that he wants to make the federal government small enough to the point where he could drown it in a bathtub if he needed to. I think that might be going too far. Like, how weak do you want your government to be? But then I think about like a lot of the other countries out there that you just never hear about, right? Think of South America. You hear about Argentina. Of course you hear about Argentina, right? That's like the banker's wet dream of, let's test this horrible economic idea and see what happens. That has been Argentina for a long time now. You want to know what the collapse of civilization looks like? Argentina circa 2000, I believe. There's a book I read years ago. I believe the author's pen name was like Fall Ferdal, something like that. He named it after his favorite battle rifle, and it was, I believe, Surviving Collapse. He talks about surviving the economic collapse of Argentina and the things that happened and how they traded in gold and the jobs that you could get. He was working like as an armed guard and a bodyguard at some point because he owned a gun and he was smart enough to have body armor before everything happened. So he could just show up dressed for the job and they're like, you're hired. But it's just weird these days to look at the news. And this was another video I wanted to make at one point, which was like how to navigate the bullshit media. And apparently, once you elect somebody in the office that the media has no idea how to cover, you don't have to anymore. You still do. You still do because now it's just everything is, we didn't vote for Elon. Why is Elon in there? Dude, we had presidential advisors running the country the last 4 years because we had a Mr. Potato Head in office. And just because they dressed him as Mr. Potato Head as a president did not make him a president. A lot of these people that are appointed, that are hired in, have more power than we realize. This is what people have been referring to as the deep state. But no, the news as of lately has drastically shifted. For like 2 years, everything was like, is this nuclear war? Is this the end of the world? And then as soon as one guy rolls out of office, has anybody even heard from Biden? Did they just like roll him into an old folks home as soon as he got out of the White House? Like, what exactly happened there? Because that dude's disappeared. I've heard rumblings from Kamala Harris, who's apparently trying to sucker her way into 2028, running again, possibly running as the governor of California. Hey, if there's a place that, like, could she destroy California any more than Gavin Newsom has already? Could she? I mean, is this like a hold my glass of wine moment for her? Oh, you don't think I can screw it up more than him? I'll show you. But it is man, within 2 months, it's a completely different world. Completely. And I gotta be honest, my stress level's down. I'm optimistic, and it's not even that Orange Man is president, right? It's that we don't have this shit show in the White House anymore. That is, I think, what is in big part making me feel a whole lot better about life right now. I'm on the verge of probably losing one of my jobs. I've got 2. I've got plenty of jobs to spare. But at the same time, I'm like, hey, I don't have to worry about nukes. Like, every time we turned around, Biden was doing something that he said he wasn't going to do. We can't have American tanks rolling into Ukraine. That would be World War III. 6 months later, U.S. tanks are rolling into Ukraine. I'm really curious to see how all of that unfolds. It's so funny now, all of a sudden everybody wants to come to the negotiating table, which, by the way, they did that, 2 years ago? And Biden sent over, not Boris, what was his name? Yeah, Johnson, right? Was it Boris Johnson? Prime Minister of the UK. He goes over there and with his crazy ass hairdo, it's like, oh, you can't negotiate. The Americans won't make any money. Why do we care about Americans making money? Because you get to make money too. You filter off the top. Dude, you take your 10. What do you think I am? Big guy? No, I am biggest guy. I take 20. So, did we prevent the end of the world? I'm sure I'm going to get some comments that are like, you have no idea how horrible things are right now. Dude, this is the first time in 4 years I kind of feel fine. I feel like everything's just kind of all right. Like, good Lord, you don't hear about the damn bird flu anymore. But egg prices are so high. Yeah. Because Biden was calling chickens like they were Jews in a concentration camp. Good Lord. One of them tested positive. 50,000. Set him on fire. Burn the bitch down. Don't hear about that anymore either. Weird. And you know the kicker about the whole egg thing? And this should be a no-brainer. Science. Yay, science. Remember, trust the science. There's a reason why we cook food. Not because it tastes good, not because you're mixing ingredients and they present it to you on your plate and the aromas and just, wow, everything's just popping off my tongue. No. Why do we cook food? To sanitize it. I know, it was like a weird thing in the 70s and 80s where people were cracking eggs into a glass and then they're chugging them raw. Which I don't recommend, by the way. That sounds horribly disgusting. It's like, a glass of snot. Tasty. Can you catch bird flu from an infected bird that you cook? The answer's no, okay? I'm sure I'm gonna get like some type of restriction. They're gonna, well, according to some letter agency, that is not safe to do. People do it all the time. Do you know what the health status of the last chicken that you bought frozen at your supermarket was before it was killed? Do you have the serial number that's stamped on it? Do you have its health records? No. Odds are pretty darn good at some point in time you ate a butchered chicken that might have had some type of disease at the time. Did you die from it? Well, if you're watching this video, the answer is obviously no. Did you get sick from it? If it was undercooked, your fault, not the chicken's. If it was properly cooked to where every possible cell in the body was brought up to a certain temperature to make sure that all bacteria and viruses were eliminated from the equation, you were fine. This is why Taco Bell's still in business. All that mystery meat in those pans that they serve to you on a taco or in a burrito, they have to cook it up to a certain degree, a certain temperature to make sure it's sterile. It's so sterile, it'll make your gut sterile. You may not be pooping right for the next day or two, but you know what you're not doing? Dying. There was a movie that came out years ago, it had Bruce Willis in it, Fast Food Nation. It's kind of like a documentary about the food industry. And they're like, well, how did this kid get E. coli from one of our burgers? And the only thing Bruce Willis kept saying while he was eating his own burger was, you gotta cook the meat, Bob. Well, how did E. coli get? There's shit in the meat, Bob. Well, how do you get it out? You cook the meat, Bob. An undercooked hamburger with cow poop in it. Yeah, that'll wreck you. A properly cooked hamburger. You won't know the difference. This is what these morons do not understand. Well, if somebody wants to eat partially raw chicken, we should be able to provide sterilized partially raw chicken. No! Stop helping stupid people. This is why eggs are so expensive. Seriously. This is the number one reason we have stupid people running things that don't understand simple science. Cooking is science. There is a reason we cook our food, and they're ignoring that. Well, we should be able to promote the raw food diet. Not with eggs. Dear God, what is wrong with these people? Well, I was feeling better about the world.